Resisting the Chinese Empire. Empires have long faced resistance from people they conquer, and never more fiercely than in Vietnam, which was incorporated into an expanding Chinese empire for over 1,000 years, roughly 111 BC to 939 CE. Among the earliest examples of Vietnamese resistance to this occupation was that around 40 CE by Trung Trac and her younger sister, Trung Nhi, daughters in an aristocratic military family. Trung Trac married a prominent local lord, Trac, who was a vocal opponent of offensive Chinese policies, such as high taxes. Even the right to fish in local rivers required payoffs to Chinese officials, and of course, the imposition of Chinese culture on the Vietnamese. In response to this opposition, the Chinese governor of the region ordered Trac's execution. This personal tragedy provoked Trung Trac to take up arms against the Chinese occupiers, and she quickly gained a substantial following among peasants and aristocrats alike, famously addressing some 30,000 soldiers well dressed in full military regalia rather than the expected mourning clothes. She declared to the assembled crowd, "Foremost, I will avenge my country. Second, I will restore the Hung lineage. Third, I will avenge the death of my husband. Lastly, I vow that these goals will be accomplished." Within months, her forces had captured 65 towns, and for 2 years they held the Chinese at bay, while Trung Trac and Trung Nhi ruled a briefly independent state as co-queens. Chinese sources referred to Trung Trac as a ferocious warrior. During their rule, the sisters eliminated the hated tribute taxes imposed by the Chinese and sought to restore the authority of the Vietnamese aristocratic families. A large military force, said to number some 80,000, counted among its leaders 36 female generals, including the Trung sisters' mother. Soon, however, Chinese forces overwhelmed the rebellion, and Trung Trac's support faded. Later, Vietnamese records explain the failure of the revolt as a consequence of its female leadership. In traditional Vietnamese accounts, the Trung sisters committed suicide, jumping into a nearby river, as did a number of their followers. Although the revolt failed, it lived on in stories and legends to inspire later Vietnamese resistance to invaders, Chinese, French, Japanese, and Americans alike. Men were reminded that women had led this rebellion. "What a pity," wrote a 13th century Vietnamese historian, "that for 1,000 years after this, the men of our land bowed their heads, folded their arms, and served the Northerners or the Chinese." To this day, temples, streets, and neighborhoods bear the name of the Trung sisters, and a yearly celebration in their honor coincides with International Women's Day, usually depicted riding on war elephants and wielding swords. These two women also represent the more fluid gender roles then available to some Vietnamese women in comparison to the stricter patriarchy prevalent in ancient China.